Yeah, it's that bad.
It is pretty bad. Wow.
Big deal.
Good. How are you, Mark? November 28th, 2017. Minutes from the October 24th, 2017 meeting. Do we have any discussion on the minutes as written? Hey, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We've had one wall sign approved between the last meeting and now for Stefano's Pizza. All right. Let's move on down. Let's skip down to the Cool Sports Icarium for the first item on the agenda that we'll discuss tonight.
Well, as y'all know, I guess everybody knows where this is, on South Watt Road. They've actually never had a ground-mounted sign out there, even though they've had the opportunity to have one all this time. I guess since they extended South Watt Road a few years ago, they probably see some value in having that. So they've chose to go with the smaller sign face so they can bring the sign up a little closer to the street. And one of the comments that I had in your packet at the time the packet went out was that they needed to provide a landscape plan around the base of the sign. So that's what they're proposing. I hadn't had a chance to email that to you all, but I did get it. It looks really nice to me. Is yours not up?
Yeah.
We got it.
Are they shrubs and daisies and geraniums? Is that what they're?
No, he's got inkberry holly, which is an evergreen, native evergreen. Right. The black-eyed Susan, which look really good in the fall, and he's got some cardinal flower in there. I'm not sure if cardinal flower. I like cardinal flower. I've got some at my house, but I'm not sure if it would make it out there. It needs to be kind of in a wet area, but they could actually just add more holly or black-eyed Susan and just have a couple of species in there would be fine, but that would look good. The building, as you all know, is mostly metal siding, so it doesn't meet our architectural design standards that we have now. So the question about the sign, I mean the base material and the sign face material is aluminum. I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about that, and I think it's probably compatible with the building.
Well, the building was built before that ordinance was in place,
Yeah.
but the ordinance does say that the sign needs to match the materials on the building.
Yeah.
So given that, then
Is that the reason that they
I
did
think that's
aluminum?
appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the building, probably want to see some brick on the base, just like we would on any other, but that one's mostly metal and block.
How long would that last? I mean, like the aluminum, is that, I mean.
It's pretty common, actually.
Is it?
Material, probably the most common material for signs.
Probably 8 out of 10 signs are built out of
Aluminum?
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's up to you all. What y'all think about it? There is some block, on the building. If y'all wanted the base to be block instead of
Just be covered up by the flowers, and it's an added expense. I mean, that base matches the building material, which is what the ordinance says. So I'm fine with it the way it is there.
I'm good with it. I'd like to see some orange flowers instead of the red. That's just my opinion, because it would go better with the sign.
That's true. Some UT flowers.
Yeah,
Go better with the
marigolds.
sign.
The marigolds will be perfect for the fall for that, and that's something that you just throw them out there and they grow. So
It'd be pretty hardy out in that sun.
they would be. They would be very hardy.
Yeah, that'd be a good choice.
Yeah.
Or you could just substitute the cardinal flower.
It would match it too. So,
Formal suggestion.
It's very legible, and
yep, I like
the
the
numbers
sign.
are easy to read. It looks like it's what they have going on out there.
And it looks sporty. I like the sports people on there.
other minutes.
Of the wall sign, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We would need to verify the setback, of course, internally illuminated, so that was pretty much yet. I just wanted y'all's input on the base, and we'll make that note on the landscaping to substitute the cardinal flower with
And the
marigolds.
marigolds will last from until frost, like April through, and they're so hardy. You want it.
Yeah, those would be, all three of those would be good choices
Yep.
out there. They're all good, pretty hardy. All right.
Is there any further discussion about the Cool Sports sign? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion upon verification of the setback that we approve it as it is.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Have a great holiday.
All right,
Oh,
thank you.
do.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's move down to the, you're here for the landscaping, right, Mark? Let's move down to the landscaping plan for the office building at 12640 Kingston Pike.
This was on the agenda last time, but we had to make some changes to the site plan that would affect the landscape plan. So this is a revised landscape plan. It's actually revised. What's on the screen is actually revised from what was in your packet, and they've addressed most all the comments that we had. The only things that we had left, there's only 4, and they're, in my opinion, very minor. One of them was to consider using a small shrub like a winterberry holly to screen around the transformer box. That's kind of a common, this can be a little unsightly there by the street. So I think there's one that faces Way Station Trail, roughly, I think it's in here. Just adding some shrubs around there to screen that. The second comment was to consider using a different species of shade tree out along Kingston Pike. These are red maples out here. There is overhead utility line through here, so what we were trying to recommend there is that they consider going with the smaller shade tree like a winter king hawthorn, which wouldn't get more than 20 to 25. Considering the overhead utility lines out there, it wouldn't have to be topped or pruned in the future, and they would have a really interesting look in the winter too. That's if you've been by Costco, they've got a lot of those along Kingston Pike, and they have red berries throughout the winter. They look really cool
pretty.
looking trees. Well, I don't know. They don't bother them too bad that I've seen. Well, good. And we got some bird habitat too, so. Well, that could be the case with a lot of things that the birds eat and other animals. That was the second thing. The third one was just to consider doing something a little different. Here they've got some arborvitae shrubs along there, and they're proposing to plant some native understory trees in this buffer area. There's kind of a stream through this portion of the site. So the suggestion was to just, I don't even think you need to add, arborvitaes there. If you're going to add anything, I'd just add. I would just eliminate them. It wouldn't look natural there. No, I'm not sure what they're trying to do. It's not required. Yeah. Yeah, flowering trees in that area, and the arborvitae's not going to blend, because it's not native,
It's not really that natural.
it wouldn't look natural. Yeah.
Forced.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If
I
the
am
board's
too.
fine with that. Yeah. And then the last thing was just to show the tree protection fencing along the buffer area line, which that's no big deal. I think it's on there anyway somewhere, but that would basically come around here. So those are pretty minor. With those 4 suggestions, the
I have a
staff
question.
would recommend approval.
To clarify, did you say you wanted the winterberry where the utility?
Yeah, some kind of native shrub around that,
Do you not
that
have to prune that quite a
transformer.
bit? I love I think it's pretty, and I have one.
Down
I
here.
do- I
Sweet
have-
Spire would be another good one.
Yeah, that's what, other than, I mean, because you do have to prune that quite a bit, do you not? Mine's just all over the place.
Like I said, I'd rather get something,
And a lot of shrubs.
I'd rather get a native shrub that gets to 30 inches.
And that
just
you do
stays
not
on
have,
it.
Do a
right.
dwarf Sweet Spire then,
Yeah,
if that's
because
what you're
this
going to do.
one, I have one.
I've got one of
and
those, and that would
it's-
work real
it-
well.
It can get,
They've got a lot of those dwarf Sweet Spires at Dollar General now.
You may-
and I
right.
think that'd be good.
you may want, I don't know that you want to have, I mean, I love them, but they're work.
Yes, and it's just, I know this developer.
And he's not gonna want to work, and most of them do not want to.
It's the same group, the 12700, which is across the street, which is why we have that kind of serpentine hedgerow across the front and down a way station, is because it's mirroring what's on the other side.
Okay.
It's-
I'd probably just do the
Well, I love
dwarf
the winter berries,
Itea.
but they have to really be more of a, to me, don't you think, more of a natural,
Yeah, that might be. I think something smaller like that would
Yeah.
be fine.
and he will not have to do any pruning on
No.
Yeah,
that.
that's what
I don't
would
ever
suggest.
prune mine at the house, so yeah, it should
You
be
don't prune
fine.
yours? Is it
Sweet
all over?
Spire, my Sweet Spire?
Oh,
No,
the sweet spire, okay. Yeah.
no, it's very
Yeah.
hardy.
Change that in the
Yeah.
comment, please.
Yep.
Because I'll forget between now and tomorrow morning when I get this in an email from Mark.
Yeah.
I think I've been at the office since 6:45 this morning.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd use the dwarf, and that'd get about 30.
That's-
Something that busts the
Right.
look of it, so you don't
Yep.
have this big green box.
Yep.
Right.
That's right. That's all we're looking at.
And you don't want a fake rock.
No.
Yep. No.
What you're going for, and yeah, we don't have a problem.
I figured that you didn't want to prune, or,
You have to maintain accessibility to it.
Right.
but they're pretty. I like them, but they're just, for that purpose, I'm not so sure.
Yep.
Good.
That, we'd recommend approval of the landscape plan. Of course, if the site plan does change, they'll need to amend the landscape plan to address that, but it wouldn't need to come back to you all.
Now, what you see there is what you're gonna get, is with eliminated for.
Okay, so you don't want me to take that to the board?
No.
Oh, good.
I've already talked to Allison to take it off the board, this agenda.
Well, good. That's one less
In fact, you're getting.
worry that I've got.
Plans tomorrow for this site.
Oh, awesome.
Revised.
Okay.
Wow.
It's good news. Look, I think it looks better, too. I mean, but good.
The
Okay.
reason we were fighting that horse because the developer asked for us to.
No, I understand.
I don't.
It's, yeah, they'll be fine. It won't be an issue.
If they can't get in the parking lot, they can park in the street and get access.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Oh.
it's such a small lot. They could service it from Way Station. Yeah.
Station or Kingston Pike if it's.
Yeah, I
necessary.
talked with, yeah, it's not a big deal.
It's a spec building. Do you have a tenant in mind for this?
The developer does have a tenant. It's a professional office building.
Okay. Small, okay.
He's got somebody already he's got basically got it signed on the dotted line.
Well, it's definitely an improvement for the town, I think. I'm very pleased to see that out there. It's going to be,
The other side?
It's a brick.
it's like a miniature of the
Version.
Version of it.
partially,
Very nice.
yeah.
Gonna look nice then.
Have you seen their branch bank out like either at Lenore City or at Hardin Valley?
Hardin Valley, yes.
The building will look similar to the branch bank.
Really?
It's not
Rick.
exactly the same because you don't have the canopy for the drive-through and the ATM, but the building itself will be very similar. Red brick with white brick and some variations in the patterns of the bricking.
Yep.
All right, sounds like it looks good. Sounds like we're in agreement on all the recommendations. Are there any other discussions from the board members on it? Okay. If there's no further discussion, we have a motion.
Motion to approve, subject to the plants or,
The four items that we
items.
talked about, yeah.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it.
with that, we'll go back to the beginning, to the ground-mounted sign applications, to item A, which is Knoxville Academy of Music.
Sorry. Let me go back here. This is the one that I'd emailed to you that kind of expecting them to send me a revision because it really is kind of not a representation. I don't think it really said they didn't have a revision, so this is what they wanted to. If you go out there, you know, where the Farragut Wine and Spirits
Yes.
panel, they basically would be putting that in that space is what they're wanting to do with basically the same style
Right.
of sign and everything.
Is
So,
that what their wall sign looks like? It says music lessons on the wall sign though, right?
Yes.
yeah, it does.
Does it?
I don't really have a problem with the message. I just wanted to more, you know, whether y'all were comfortable with the compatibility of it.
They do his music lessons. I mean,
I don't know what all
It
he
says
does
Academy
there.
of Music, so I just figured that that's, it doesn't seem like.
It's just unusual to see a sign that looks more like an
Me
advertisement than to
too.
have their name on it. You know, you would normally see Knoxville Academy of Music as the
Yeah.
name of the sign, and
So what is the company? Is it Knoxville Academy of Music and
Yeah.
they're advertising music lessons? Well, then why do we
I
not?
don't. Yeah, I don't know. It is an odd
Well,
way
we
to.
ended
That's a
up with
good
this
point.
discussion about a year ago.
If
The
the-
Supreme Court is,
why
well, we're
do
not
they
allowed to
not have
judge
it?
what the
That's a great
sign
point.
says. We're just allowed to look at what,
I know.
to make sure, so
But-
what it says is not for us to decide, as long as it meets ordinance.
But is it an advertisement?
Right. Yeah, and,
Isn't every sign an advertisement?
but if their business is Knoxville Academy of Music, should that not be on the,
I guess that's their
The
prerogative.
yeah, I would do the Knoxville Academy of Music in large letters and have the music lessons.
Yeah,
And the
I
number
would. That's
below
what I would
that.
do.
but
You know, it's
said
all on
their-
there.
Their sign.
Is
on
whether
their
that, if you're going to
building
show that
is music
website, is that really legible if you're driving down Kingston
legible.
Pike?
Their wall
I don't
sign
know
looks
if it
like
is
this.
or
What's-
I didn't
what's
even
in
know
size?
when this
What's the
was
letter
sent to us
size?
that the business
They
name was
didn't
Knoxville
provide
Academy of
that.
Music. Like, I thought their business name was Music Lessons, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess if that's what they do, that's a creative business name. I mean, I would know exactly what they did.
You are
When you
getting,
drive by there, they're like, one of their rooms is right on the corner, and you can see them giving music
Yeah.
lessons through the windows. So I just thought that that was their name, and I'm like, okay. I didn't even pay attention to
It's not
what
supposed-
the email address
Academy
said. Like, I didn't
Music,
even read
yeah.
it. And then I saw your all's comments, and I thought, oh, I guess it does. But the wall sign looks,
how did they
it's
get by with the wall
identical
sign?
to this.
Well, how did they
Identical.
get by with the wall sign being music lessons?
Well, I don't really concern myself with the message of the sign.
Supreme Court ruling is
But
we
we
are not to
can't.
concern ourselves with the message.
But as a
No,
consumer,
okay.
if
I'll
I'm,
look at the
but-
sign.
but-
Does
but
it
you're-
look
you're-
compatible? Is it?
But,
is
right,
there good
but the thing
physical
also, though,
aspects of it,
is
not the
how many
message?
other businesses, I mean, that here you have, what, 3 or 4 times a year that you are sort of putting advertisements, or allowed to put advertisements out there for their businesses? Like right now, I think
The
they're doing
shop
the.
Farragut
Yeah,
stuff, yeah.
so.
But again, Ashley
when-
even stated last year, we were violating the law. And that's why that's why they were changing everything, because the Supreme Court decision was basically saying this board was in violation of their ruling. And the ruling is we cannot judge the message. It's, does the color meet?
Well, I'm
Does
not
the text
judging the
meet?
message.
But you are. You're saying Knoxville Academy should be in big letters and music lessons should be in small.
well,
That's their company,
Hello.
though.
hello. As a consumer, I only use the sign to find a place,
Right.
to find the site. So if I'm going down Kingston Pike, and I know I'm going for a music lesson, and I'm looking for who's going to give me the lesson, which is Knoxville Academy of Music, this doesn't do it for me.
Well, if they've already got the wall-mounted sign and we tell them to change it now, I think it's going to cause a lot of problems.
Well, I don't remember even approving the wall mounting.
Well, if you remember in the
I didn't
emails,
think we did.
if you remember in the emails, which I don't know why the client was tagged on that, he said he's been using this same sign for years since he's been in business.
It
On
has
his
been
wall,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, on his
It's
wall.
been
He has
years.
had that out there.
Yeah, I mean, so he's had this sign on his wall for years, and the town's
I remember
approved
him
it.
saying that, but
Yeah, so
I
now
just-
for us to say, well, we don't like this is going to open up a lot of problems for the town.
But this is not the one that we all discussed in the email
Yep.
and,
Yes,
and,
it is.
and thought,
Yes, it
this
is.
is the same one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I copied him on
Yeah.
it because I wanted
Yeah.
him to know what input we had on it. If
And
he
so when
wanted-
you talked to
But
him, what did
Right.
he say?
Mark, are we not getting
Gonna
into
have
some
his sign
issues
company
about?
revise it, but he never did.
I'm looking further, like how many people, again, we have what, 3 to 4 times a year that we advertise, they're allowed to advertise their
That's a
business?
separate little
That's a-
freestanding
Yeah.
sign that
He wants to make this his full-time sign, so.
All right, so under the guise of Supreme Court, let's say that. We won't argue that point as much, but can we argue the phone number being on a sign? Which I think if you look across town, I think you'd have very few, if any,
That are,
branding messages that would have a phone number attached to them.
good point.
So can we leave music lessons, take out the phone number, and let them use their, maybe enlarge if it doesn't meet code, which I can tell you, if the numbers are 8 inches above here, 11238, then we know the Academy of Music is not 8 inches. I don't know how that relates.
There's no way.
And
It's
enlarge
probably about
KnoxvilleAcademyOfMusic.com in some way and get rid of that number.
Good point,
idea.
good point.
Good idea.
that's up to you all. I mean, I'll make
I
a
still
note
don't like
of
the
it.
sign, period. I don't like the way, I don't care about the music lessons or whatever.
It's
but
an
what-
odd
It's
way
just,
to
it's
present
an odd
your
way,
sign.
but
Yeah.
you're
What-
right.
What
because that-
material is the sign? Do we have any idea what material it is?
It's just a metal, just like the Farragut wines.
So it's going to be an
sheet.
aluminum or a metal sheet
Kind of.
type sign
So
with
that will,
with
I mean,
the white.
obviously, anything that goes on that is probably temporary, because, I mean, hopefully someday that area will redevelop. I mean, it's a large space that's completely underutilized.
removing the phone number will eliminate a lot of other people in the area complaining that it's like a yearly advertisement.
I think it must
Huh?
fit, clearly
assumption.
fit within the area
Listen,
Spirits panel fits in.
Right. Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, I think it has to
Because
fit.
this drawing doesn't
No,
really show
it's-
that.
No, it's hard to
Oh,
tell from this
gosh.
drawing.
It's really a
Its size
bad.
and
will you be talking to them
Yeah.
to do, okay.
I'll just convey to you, y'all's action on it to them, and then they need to make the revision if they need to make one. But I do think they need
So-
to make sure that the size of it it fits within the existing Farragut Wine and Spirits side.
yeah, I think that has to happen.
So on their website, see, they use the website, and they don't use music lessons for the website, they use Knoxville
I think it's
Academy, so-
important too. On Kingston Pike, we have had a history of saying at a minimum 8-inch letter sizes, if not a little bit taller, to be legible and readable.
And that's going to happen.
What are these
Website would
sizes?
clearly not be that.
Nope.
And I
It'd be
think we
about
need
4
to.
based on the size of the address numbers.
Well, I would also argue that a website URL is also not part of a branding message.
That's exactly right.
I mean, you can or cannot, but how many signs in our town would have a,
And they don't have the .com, so they
associated
should
with
just have Knoxville Academy of Music and leave it at that, correct?
Well, looking at the length of it,
And
I
you're
don't know that
talking
they
about
would
the
be able to
message.
blow it up enough and it fit, so they may have to take off the .com and separate it on 2 lines and maybe put like music lessons
Knoxville.
by Knoxville Academy of Music or something.
So basically, they're going to have
In the
to,
ordinance that says they're not allowed to have that?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, so we're all talking about the message.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of.
We're talking partially about the size of letters
absolutely.
and the way this is
That
going
we
to fit
do
and
have
look.
requirements
We are
for
able
legibility.
to do that.
I'm not able to get comfortable with what we're seeing here.
I don't think the
Because there's
bottom
nothing to tell us.
website is legible, in my opinion. If I'm driving down Kingston Pike, that's just going to be a blur of
It is.
white. You're never going to read that.
you could separate some of your letters by, some of your words by color, and
Yeah.
it's easier to read that way, but
It's too much
There's
information
just
in
too
a row
much.
there. And all I'm looking for is something, if they're going to have something out there, it needs to be effective for them. You know,
It does.
and I don't think that website is going to be effective at all for them.
Well, I don't-
Was this business in the strip center across from Wendy's at one point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it
All right.
was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize that.
Well, see, I don't know of them, but I think same if I were looking and driving down Kingston Pike and looking for that, I would
Something that would be good for him.
I think this is kind of generic looking
Yeah.
rather than a more formal sign that has your name and your logo or whatever we typically see. So as a consumer, I might not go in there just because it's so generic looking. But at the same time, from a sign perspective, if those letters are legible and they are block letters and they're written in a way that you can read them,
Well, their
but their
website-
sizes are legible, then it does meet that requirement.
Their website has Knoxville Academy of Music.
That's what I was going to say. I would ask him or tell him what we feel is that, I mean, the Knoxville
Could have the
Academy
name
of
the
Music
business.
would be more, I think,
Well, we can make that recommendation.
more
too, you know.
people
Yeah.
would,
I mean, I
like you were kind of saying, you kind of stay away, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You would have,
It is
if
a
I,
content
if I were looking for something like that for my son, I would want, Knoxville Academy of Music. That's more, and then put music lessons if they want to. Again, I mean, that's for their brand, that would help them.
So their website's very impressive about, children and music and whatever. So they have a very clear, very good message on their website.
So that
That's
needs
a very
to,
good
So that
business.
sign does
I
not
mean, they
match the
do a good
message on the
job.
website.
Yeah.
I don't.
I was looking at it from what would be more effective for them.
Right.
That's all I'm
Knoxville
not trying-
Academy of Music would be.
I'm not
my
trying to be
Now,
difficult with them.
all that said, it's not our business to run. It is theirs, and they have to make decisions on how they want to do it. I think that within all of this, though, what I would like to see is some dimensions and some way to know that we have legible lettering here and sizes and all of that.
Exactly.
'Cause right now, this sign could be,
Yeah,
it could shrink
Yeah.
down to a size that we don't
Yeah,
we don't
it's
have
an
any idea.
incomplete thing. I mean, they had opportunity to modify it.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done it.
I think my biggest issue is if I were a parent looking for music lessons and I looked at this very impressive site, which is very good, and then I went to find the facility,
It wouldn't
I would not
match up.
find it based on music
If
lessons.
you just drive right past this because that did not match
Right.
what you saw.
Yeah, so that would be.
So
the
that's
one thing.
hurting their business, really, if they do not, that
That's
would
kind of the
help.
way I see it, even though I agree with Edwin.
That's not our decision
Well,
to
I
make.
know that.
I know,
It's our
but
input
it's
on
our
it.
It's our
input as far to
input.
help him.
And then
it's-
if they still want it that way, that's fine, but
As
that's
long as
our
it
input.
meets
Yeah,
the,
if it meets
if
all the
it meets all of
criteria.
their,
Legibility is
right.
not met on the bottom website. They do need to change that, and that's not a
and you're right, they
content-based.
do need
No,
to
it's
check out
not.
the .com too.
So you're absolutely right. That is not.
That's for the suggestion that we
Yeah.
think it would be more effective if they included the name of the business.
I think at the end of the day, it's hard for us to approve the sign without the dimensions and knowing
And
the
what it's
legibility
made
is
of.
there.
I mean, what they're,
We can make a recommendation on how we feel as consumers we might appreciate the sign, but if they want it to say music lessons at the end, it's up to them.
that's up to them.
But I would like to know that the lettering meets our legibility requirement, and I think that's what's missing here.
And we can put our input on it to say, I think for you to get
Yeah,
more
you could
business,
offer
it would be
that as
more
a
helpful if you,
suggestion.
right.
Yes, it wouldn't, you couldn't make it
Not
a
that we're going to turn him
requirement
down on that, but
Suggest it.
Yes. We are covering our butt. I'm saying we can deny it because the
Legibility.
legibility.
You could do that, yes.
putting
exactly.
the name. But if he comes back and says no and adjust the letters to meet it, then it meets the ordinance.
Right,
We
I
can't
understand.
judge based on the content.
It would be nice though if they'd match their logo on the
I agree.
website.
That logo
Let me
and
see
that
it,
name
Jenny.
looks very nice.
Pass it down for us to see.
I mean, that's very catchy, it's very readable, and
Oh, gosh, yeah. Why does he not want to do that?
That does look better.
don't
Mark,
know.
say that. Did you see,
Simple.
this?
it is.
Yes. That would
looked
look
it up.
better.
Oh, Didn't Randy say?
Y'all gonna make a formal motion to that effect, or? I mean, I can have him email it to me, and that way you don't have to hold off
No,
until.
Mark-
Maybe if he
Mark,
wants to
you
come
do
in
it.
and talk to us
Yeah.
and maybe explain his logic for,
Yeah, he knew we were meeting.
I think we've got maybe three options. We motion to make an approval subject to, we motion to deny it as presented, or we table this for another.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to want to approve it without the knowledge of these dimensions and,
Yeah.
and all of that.
Okay.
I hate to make him wait at the same time, but I think, I don't know what the best avenue to get there is, but I think we need to,
I think it should be
See
tabled until we can get dimensions.
I think we need to see the information that we normally get. I mean, every other applicant provides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if it's tabled, does it go the next month, or just, could we approve it by email? If it's tabled,
Well,
or
I
if it's
mean, if he can
denied?
get me a revision, I'll forward it to y'all.
But
by
you said
email.
that you've asked him, he did not,
Want to
But he
change
said he
it.
was going to, right?
Well, if we table
No,
it,
he
it's going to
said-
kind of
Didn't want to
no
change it.
choice but to,
choice but to get us a revision.
Right.
He'll have
So
to,
let's
because I
table.
don't have any dimensions
I
or
agree.
anything.
need to table them, because you're right.
It'll Put a fire on him to
Yes.
do it.
Is that
Yeah.
your, somebody want to make a motion to that?
Did
Okay. I
you-
don't want to, I don't want to arbitrarily table something that's going to take a little bit longer than normal with the December coming up and the timing of our next meeting. If we're not going to have a December meeting,
Yeah.
then that pushes to January. That's 2 months away. And if they have a
Well, I think
revision.
if he can just
in
email
a
it to
beat.
me, I can forward it to you all, and at least he could know whether he had
Yeah.
something
So we
that
can
I think we should
table
do
it.
that.
prove it
and
when you
formally-
do meet. But if
Right.
it was something that everybody was fine with via email, then he could go ahead and
Perfect.
put it up, holding him up till,
All right.
till the end of January potentially.
Well, with that, I will make the motion that we table information from the applicant to provide dimensions and other legibility criteria. And in doing so, we can make some suggestions about what we think the consumer might prefer to see, but ultimately it will be up to the applicant's decision on what the sign reads. With that, do we have a second?
I second.
Favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Right.
All right, that brings us down to our next item, which is Wealth Care Partners of Tennessee. 12826 Kingston Pike. I think this is one we may have taken a look at, and we all agreed it looks legible and good for that particular sign.
Yeah. They may already have it installed, I'm not sure, but I did
All right.
tell him that it
So we
appeared
need
be
to take
fine.
formal action tonight to approve
Yeah.
then, since we've already looked at that. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, the next item on the agenda is Pain Medicine of the South, 110 North Campbell Station Road.
This is a tenant panel on the
Oh, I know Donald Jones.
building.
I know him.
Yeah, this is the old Tenova building on Campbell Station Road.
Very good.
Looks very clean and legible, I suppose. I mean, it's small, but the lettering is pretty clean looking.
Yeah, it's difficult on that sign to have large letters because you've
Yeah,
got three
small
tenant
panels.
panels.
So what is going to be the name? Is that his name? I was a little confused on that part. Is it Pain Medicine of the South, or is it what?
That's the name of the business, apparently.
Again, so we don't have the name of the business. We have.
What I was just going to say is here we have another example of the business is Pain Medicine of the South, but we have something other than the business name on the sign.
And they didn't want to put Pain Medicine of the South.
Because pain medicine kind of has a
The
bad.
connotation of.
Yeah, I'd say exactly.
He
That's why
treats
they did.
people that are pain medicine dependent. He does not.
That stigma that goes with
Right.
Yeah,
that
I
name.
Exactly
know.
why
I
he's
know.
not-
that's
and I
probably
understand
why he
that.
didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's why he
Because it comes
doesn't
with
want
the
to.
stigma.
Yeah.
So his business is Pain Medicine, but he's choosing to do this because people that are looking, they know him, basically. So that's what he's.
And he doesn't probably want like
He doesn't want that people to
Edwin
the
said
saying
the
like they do the dog.
the negative connotation that can have, I guess, for some people. So
Well, I think if we apply the same principle to this that we had just before, it looks good. It is legible from the standpoint of the block lettering, white background, blue letters. Any
I
dimensions
mean,
that
they'll
go
be
along with
small.
it?
Those would probably, to me, much more legible manner than that website was, because that was all
Mm-hmm.
jumbled together. I don't know. It's
Again, I think, as he's saying, we need
Legibilities.
dimensions to make sure. I mean, it looks nice, it looks legible, but we don't know the dimensions of these
Oh, yeah,
letters.
I wish that
well, we
Andrew
know the
Keller would be
dimension
moved
of the
over to
address
where
number,
his-
and that's 8,
and
so
then
it's probably about
the-
3.5.
What? That's being picky, I know.
We don't require 8 inches
They're
though.
beside
Yeah, I don't know
LCD and
what
all
we
that.
Yeah.
On letters,
Behind the
on
old
addresses, right?
Okay.
My Allstate agent used to be in that building.
What'd you say?
My Allstate agent used to be in this building.
Oh,
So I think the standard we've had is on Kingston Pike where you're having higher speed. We've tried to have 8 inches and higher letters, but on another street where you have slower speeds, you can have smaller letters.
Oh,
because
you're kind of
obviously-
at a, most
you
of
can
the
read
time, you're
that.
kind of at a stop condition there.
Right. That's a different one through there.
and I'm just being picky, but I wish that the Andrew Keller part was over there, kind of the same, and then the comments together, and what they are, the FMP over there with their MDs and, see what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
move the Andrew,
line
but
it up.
that's,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did it that way. I think it would be less jumbled, but
Center justification.
yeah, OCD.
It gives more significance to
Yeah.
her than it does to him.
Landscaping around it.
And that's a good point. What
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
they do need
landscaping?
some yeah, that's a good point. Yep. That's
I
very
wish
good.
they really would think about that, though, because I'm like,
The second office, do you know?
They do have to landscape around the base, yep. They did have some originally, I don't know what happened to it. It's
Garden.
big plant material.
or rain, whatever that. Oh, and that's another thing. She said that. What about the one at Josh? Do they have landscaping under theirs?
The chamber,
The
Should have.
chamber.
they don't.
Yeah, they don't?
It's all died out.
They don't either?
See, all of it right now is just mulch, and so I just wondered.
Oh, well, that's
so
another
that's
one.
something that we need to
Yeah. Yeah, they need
talk
to-
about.
Yeah. I should have caught that on both of those. Didn't-
Well, I think on the one for pain medicine, we should apply somewhat similar and say that I'd like for them to report
Letters.
back what the letter sizes are, so we know what the dimensions
Yeah.
are. I mean,
Okay.
I feel comfortable approving it with the subject to letter sizing and trying to make the letters as large as possible on that sign for readability's sake.
And
Yeah,
I wish that they
okay.
would move that over.
So Mark, I have a question about sign maintenance. So if you look at the bottom right corner of the sign,
It's
it
broken.
looks a little broken or off, or what is the requirement for sign maintenance on things like this if they're replacing?
I think
I mean,
that's
I
up
don't
to the
know if the
landlord.
tenant, I mean, the building owner.
There's a
is
provision
responsible?
in the sign ordinance to keep your signs properly
But
maintained.
who's
Yeah.
responsible for that? He would not be. It would be the person who owns.
It probably the property owner
Property
ultimately,
owner.
unless there's some kind of something in the lease that says that the person leasing the space is responsible for the sign. You know, I don't know how their lease is worded, but
Landscaping in there probably cover that up on the bottom. But I see what you're saying. I mean, down on the left side, the brick looks cracked. On the right side, it looks like some of the flashing's coming off.
It's
You landscape
But I mean,
it,
as a
they'd probably
new-
cover that up.
Business going in, I mean, regardless if it's their responsibility or the business,
into compliance, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make that as a comment
and
as well.
just because, just ask him if the Andrew L. Keller. I don't know why. I think it would. I'm sorry, guys. Please, it's not going to change whatever. But I don't know why he wanted to. If Jones is the MD, you see Keller more than you do. His name is so with all his degrees and all that stuff, but actually, the
I feel a
Keller.
need to clarify how I know Dr. Jones.
Oh, we don't care.
I worked with him at Blunt Memorial when he was an anesthesiologist, and was on the case management board for 4 years for this area, and I got him to come speak to our group on pain management, and he is very, very good, and I think he's very honest with you. But I thought,
Sure.
I'm sitting here thinking, they think I had a pain issue problem.
Is this on both sides?
Just on the one.
Front side.
I don't remember, to be
Because
honest.
this is the empty gas station that we're seeing
Yeah.
behind here.
On the back.
On the back, that big tree right there, you're seeing behind the sign. Here's the tree, then here's the old car wash over here, and then the gas
Oh.
station's here.
Oh,
What does the 94
It was
mean?
on both sides.
That's the dimension, 94 inches from.
94 inches across, yeah.
so do we need to go
It's
back?
on the corner. I mean, because you can see both sides of it.
Yeah, this is Campbell Station here, and this is Kingston Pike running
It
here.
should
And
have
that's the
the
gas
same
station right
panel
there.
on
I think
both
it's the, is it the
sides.
same panel on both sides?
It should, yeah.
Thinking so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. I
Was
didn't
there
even think
previously.
about it not.
I think it's on both sides.
I would think you would have it on both sides, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. Do you? I mean, does
mean,
anybody
usually
really
they
know
I
for
mean,
sure?
I think coming from Kingston Pike that you see this sign.
Yeah,
like you
he-
see
I think
what's
you
in
do.
there.
Sure
I
you
think
would have
Tenova
it.
was
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
remembering
yes.
seeing Tenova coming from that direction.
It's like all the other signs we looked at tonight. I think they were all back to back, but they all have a message
Right.
on both sides.
That brick,
Yeah,
a lot of that sign is
that attachment,
is having
something's
some
off
issues.
kilter there with the brick. I don't know.
Name of the pain clinic on the building or anything?
Oh, there's no signage on the building.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
Hadn't applied for a sign.
I remember my Allstate agent was in there. It was the Allstate agent, a
Yeah.
doctor's office, and something.
Nova used to be in there. They had like a
The
little-
doctor's office and the Allstate agent pulled out, and then Tenova was in there for a while. But again, there was no sign in the building; it was just on the door.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever had a building sign that I can remember.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this application?
I'm surprised.
All right. Do we have a motion out there?
Kayvon, you're up.
Can I make a motion to approve it pending verification of the measurements and dimensions?
Absolutely.
And the sign and the landscaping?
Right.
But then do we need to specify landscaping or just say it needs landscaping?
It needs
He'll get-
landscaping to meet the requirements of the sign ordinance, yeah.
My question now: do they have to do that since they're just going one of 3 panels? Because then, I mean, the next guy gets a panel. Does he have to be responsible for landscaping? Does the landscaping not fall under the requirements or for the tenant, for the landlord, and not the person renting the space?
Well, we'll just convey that as that's what the board's action was, and they'll need to get whoever is responsible for it to take care of it, because it may be the property owner.
Yeah, I think the property owner would be the one responsible for the landscaping and maintenance
Unless
of
they
that.
bought the property, I don't know if they
Yeah.
own it or not. But whomever is responsible will need to take care of it.
All right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That's the last item on the agenda, unless you have
That's it.
something, Mark,
No,
to
I
discuss.
don't think I do.
So what about our December? Are you just going, what would that be anyway? Anybody, what's the calendar?
That's the 26th. Christmas. So that,
Yeah, that
we
is
said
a-
before,
Yay.
that would be tough.
I think we'll have a December meeting.
Oh, wow.
If we have something that comes up, I'll just try to send it to you.